This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
It's your boy LZ with the Value of Wrestling New Japan Rebound Podcast. I've got a guest for you folks at Stockton Con.
What up, everybody? AJ Kirsch here, the voice and the host of Stockton Con. The value of wrestling is awesome, so subscribe on YouTube. Scan the QR code right here, now. Subscribe, check it out.
There we go.
You'll be glad you did.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's what. Hey, man, shout out to Value of Wrestling. I'm right here with the Big O's, San Jose. We done shut this shit down. Love and respect, all right? Value of Wrestling. Hello.
Man, thank you, brother.
Ooh, oh, you didn't know. You better pick up the phone and call somebody. You better get ready, better get lit, better get ready to start the party. It's going to be a busy, busy week, as I said. Man, what a busy day this has turned out to be. We had last night the Roman Reigns documentary come out with A&E. Today, the beautiful, heartfelt, just insane documentary about Bray Wyatt becoming immortal. And I'll be doing a review on that after this show. And then we had CM Punk on the MMA Hour with Ariel Awani in an hour now, almost 2-hour interview that discusses everything from AEW to now and all the other craziness. Lots to talk about. So we're going to have a lot of talking, lots of shows to come up on the air later. And of course, we're here with your post-show, your post-Raw show, and the cat wants to join the show. But this is your Value of Wrestling Monday Night Raw post-show review for April 1st. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year. But let me introduce you to my co-host, the one, the only. And of course, you know me, I'm the big time. Can't you see? Hey, Cat, you got to go somewhere anywhere other than there for now. And it was Monday Night Raw. And, I don't know. This show was a little bit disappointing for a go-home show. Really didn't add anything much. We got the same stuff. It felt like we I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this show. Anyways, we open up with Cody. We open up with a replay of Cody and The Rock from last week. The lights go out, and here comes The Rock. He comes out and said, "I made the boy bleed." He says he ran the boy's head into the blood, split his head wide open. There was blood all over his hands, and as promised, he took the blood and wiped it on the belt. Now the only thing that is missing is the tears of Mama Rhodes. The Rock is a man of his word. He whispered to Cody last week that he would make Cody a bleed, and that's just what he did. The Cody Crybabies didn't like that. They were upset that The Rock made their hero bleed. The Rock laughed this off because these are grown-ass men crying over the fact that he beat Cody like a dog. There was some reaction that The Rock says that stopped him in his tracks. We see a social media post of a little girl crying, saying she'll never watch Moana again. And then there's TikTok shows a little girl crying with snot running down her face. Stuff like that breaks The Rock's heart. The Rock is a proud girl dad. So when he sees this, it breaks his heart. However, to those mummies and daddies of these kids, take these little kids, put them in the front of the TV because Uncle Rock is going to drop some gospel. There are moments in life when a man has to do what a man's got to do, moments where people stick their nose in business that it doesn't belong, where they talk shit when they shouldn't, and that's what Cody did. So there are moments when he's got to beat the punk down over and over and over again. The Rock asked if we feel it. Right now, professional wrestling is cool. Ratings are up, and tonight is the largest gate in the history of Monday Night Raw ever, and it's all because of The Rock. He does his final thing, but lets us know that he didn't come alone. Out comes the rest of the bloodline: Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa. He asks for acknowledgement and brings up his hoodie, family above all. He wouldn't come to Raw for no reason. He came here to acknowledge his family. Crowd lets out some yeet chants. Roman says, "No yeet." The one time that Mr. Clarke and Roman Reigns would agree on this show today, and probably ever. Anyways, he apologizes to Rock for the idiocy, as we are a distraction. He's trying to put his family over, so please shut your mouth. He wants to take the opportunity to thank his cousins because to be transparent, this will be the easiest mania of his life. A tag match, come on, they're going to smash those fools. Then it's Bloodline Rules on Sunday, and that means they'll have their way with Cody, so thank you, cousin. But The Rock went above and beyond and made the boy bleed. He whooped Cody. Reigns didn't need him to do it, but it felt good to see him do it. For that, thanks again. He put the family above all, and that set the example. That's how you lead. Cody ain't fit for these shoes. He's a politician. He's lucky to be here. When they started making this thing cool again, Cody was off somewhere doing a whole lot of nothing. Then he saw Reigns and wanted to be a part of it. They allowed him in, but enough is enough. And we eventually get Seth Rollins music playing. Seth Rollins come down, i.e. Shield style, out of the crowd. Seth starts talking about how they took out Cody, and tonight's a different night. Seth doesn't think old DJ's got the balls, but his cousin may have a grown set. So if The Rock doesn't want to fight, how about Roman Reigns? He'll leave it up to them. Who wants to fight a real champ? The Rock asked Seth if he didn't see what he did to Cody last week. Cody got brain damage now. Seth doesn't want none of this. Seth won't fight The Rock. He won't fight Reigns either, boy. Seth is tough, crazy SOB, but he ain't fighting them. However, they have a plan. So Sikoa decides to talk and says, yeah, you're going to fight me. And so after all that, in the biggest attendance gate ever, we get Solo Sikoa versus Seth Rollins in the main event. This is your opening segment. The Rock, talking Rock stuff, Roman there. It was what it was. Probably not the highlight of the night. But
no, not at all.
A decent little segment. Your thoughts, Mr. Clarke?
I mean, outside of SmackDown, it gets us to WrestleMania. That's all the segment was for.
Yep. No, it was another one of those moments. I had some points in it, but I was disappointed they gave us Solo versus Seth. Really, but it really wasn't Solo versus Seth, and we'll get into that in the end here. Earlier today, Rhea Ripley was on Ariel Helwani show. He had a bunch of people on there, including CM Punk, which I will probably be covering in a rant later once I get to watch it all and not just pieces of it. He brings up Becky. Becky's calling in. Finally, he answers, and Becky wants to come in, and then they have a showdown on the Ariel Helwani show. And then we get the 8-man tag team match, DIY and the New Day versus Judgment Day. Which was a good, solid match here. Ciampa checks on him as Wood kicks GJ right in the gut. He locks the head, spins up. GJ lands on his feet, hits a rope Spanish fly in the middle of the ring. We get a tag to Ciampa. We get a tag to the Priest. Ciampa with chops over and over. Kick the Priest. Ciampa drops the pad, but Priest with a huge clothesline. Kofi flies, gets Goozle. Kick to Gargano south of heaven on Kofi. Priest grabs Ciampa, lifts up the shoulders, tries for a razor's edge, and hits it and covers for the 1, 2, 3. Damien Priest getting a big pin here and a big win for Judgment Day. This was a quick match, a 5-minute match, but it felt a little longer than that. But it was a good, solid match to get all these teams going, getting the juices flowing for the 6-man ladder match coming up on night 1 of WrestleMania, so Saturday night. But a good, solid match here. Judgment Day needed a win here.
Just a little preview before they lose those titles, basically.
Yes. And that's pretty much what we had there. Solo's backstage. Behind him is Reigns and The Rock and Heyman. Reigns says Solo has this on lock. He should get out of here. The Rock wonders where Reigns is going. Reigns says he's going to go write a speech, and we find out that Roman Reigns is the one that's going to induct Paul Heyman into the WWE Hall of Fame. I get it for storyline purposes, but I'm sorry, I'm one of these people who's like, the Hall of Fame should be completely separated from all stories. Like, I don't want storylines at the Hall of Fame. I want the Hall of Fame to feel legit, be legit, and be a representative of that night, focusing on the people who are being inducted on the Hall of Fame. I don't really want storylines to play in at the Hall of Fame because it's like, this is the night to remember the people who made their marks. You're getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I just want to be in that moment, not being twisted into storylines. So I'm sure something's going to happen with Roman inducting Paul Heyman. I think you could have done better. Austin, Punk, or anybody from even ECW that you could have brought in for one night to get a big pop. I mean, Bubba Ray Dudley, RVD, Tommy Dreamer even. I don't know if Dreamer would have been available, but you have a working partnership with TNA off and on. So maybe that would have been doable, but it would have been nice to have somebody that maybe had a little more than Roman Reigns. I mean, I guess the Samoan family has a deep history with Paul Heyman. So, I mean, there's a deep history there, so it's a mixed bag, but it was just kind of like, I don't feel Roman. my thing is like an Austin or CM Punk is a good talker on the same level as a Paul Heyman. I just feel like Roman's not going to be on that same level, so it's just like, nah. I wanted somebody big. I wanted that introduction to feel. I wanted this one to go down in history that you had to watch the introduction, the whole moment, because Paul Heyman's going to tell his stories. It's going to be a beautiful night, and I hope Paul Heyman gets. I don't know how much time he's going to get. I hope he gets a bunch of time to go, because it'll be great. But Roman's going to be doing the introduction, so I guess we got to live with that.
All right, so let me ask you this then: how do you feel about the story implication between Ray and Dom at last year's Hall of Fame? Well, he didn't really say anything, but the getting up and walking out still played.
I think that was a little more minor than what they may be doing here. I mean, him walking out was just kind of, it fit Dominic's character, but it was very, very minor and minute, and I didn't really care at that point enough to really like, okay. It's not as big as like Roman's going to induct Paul Heyman, and you're just like, is there really a reason? I mean, is Paul Heyman's had longer runs? I mean, yes, he's been with Roman now, 4 years? But I mean, like, Paul Heyman has so many other people that he has rich historic history with. But I guess, if you take in the whole I know why you fan, I don't know. I'm like, I hope this doesn't become a story thing. I'm just like, I just want to hear Paul Heyman talk, and I would really hope somebody like a CM Punk or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, even a Bully Ray or a Dreamer could have sold Paul Heyman's story better.
Hell, even Medusa would have been better.
Yes.
In some respects.
Yes. Because Roman to me is not. He's good on it. He's a good talker in promos and short stuff. I just don't know if this man can give me a speech that's going to get me excited.
Well, plus we've only seen Roman Reigns. We don't know what Joe Anoa'i can really do.
Yeah, but we're not getting Joe Anoa'i at the Hall of Fame. It's all fitting into the story, and it's just like, I want the Hall of Fame to be nothing story. I want to hear stories, but I don't want it to feel like it's
right.
Wrestling. Like, it should be the one night where we can throw out the disbelief and just sit there and admire these people and respect them for what they did or how they got there.
They are, as opposed to the characters.
Yes. So that's my only thing there. It was just kind of like, yeah. And it was a weird way to announce it, which tells me even more it's going to play in the storyline. It's just like, I'm like, anyway, I guess the Heyman kisses The Rock. I guess Heyman loves kissing wrestlers. And Roman Reigns leaves. Anyways, with Lawrence Sami Zayn was with Chad Gable. And of course, the first hour of this show was commercial free. I don't think it went that full hour, by the way, but hey, we're not going to get upset about it. I'm waiting to see what Tony Khan's going to do since Raw went 1 hour of commercial free. Tony Khan's probably got something up his sleeve we're going to hear at the last minute. Just to be like, oh, they can do it. Look what I can do. Yes. Anyways, we learned that Sammy was with Chad Gable at the PC. Chad Gable running Sammy through the ropes. Sammy says, I'm afraid. And they go back and forth. Sammy was about to give up, and Chad Gable got him inspired again. And they talked about it. And so, yeah, there's an almost Rocky IV montage type of style here. And eventually we get this training video of making Sammy better. So Chad Gable, Sammy's story is getting interesting. How this is going to play out, what's going on with Gunther, I don't know. Any thoughts on that segment? I mean, it was a good segment. I mean, it definitely helps kind of get you more sympathetic, playing the underdog role for Sammy, selling that, Chad Gable being there. It was an interesting segment for sure.
I'm not going to fast forward too much into this show, but I'm looking at Chad Gable and wondering, are they planting the seeds to eventually elevate him higher than what he is now? I'm just saying, with the work that he's done with Gunther, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get. We're going to have to wait and see. Anyways, we're backstage in Championship, and they are all happy. In comes Dom's new friends. Rhea and Priest are not happy as Legado Fantasma comes in. Dominic tries to make peace between all of them. It was a weird segment. I don't know what we're doing here. It was weird because it seems like everybody's in different places. Dom's doing his own thing. Rhea's losing control of Dom. Damien's pissed off. it really is not. Judgment Day seems in chaos, and it just kind of hurts their overall image at this point. And then we'll talk about the other segment later when we get there. I guess that was kind of even more like, okay. Anyways, we got Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. This is a good match here again. Sami trying his best to overcome Bronson Reed. We saw a sunset flip. It gets a cover for 2. Reed up, kicks Death Valley driver to Sami for a cover of 2. Sami tries to hit a tornado DDT on Reed and gets a 2. Reed corners Sami, tries for a right. Sami grabs a hold, tries for its exploder, but Reed with a corkscrew suplex instead. Senton Reed on the top rope. Sami up, right forearm to the head. Sami climbs. Reed fights him away. Headbutt to Sami, sends him down. Reed to the top. He turns Tsunami. No, Sami rolls out of the way. Sami to the corner, and Gunther comes out with a beaten up Chad Gable and throws him out on the ground. Sami leaves the ring, and he goes to check on Chad Gable. Gunther looks to leave, and then Sami's checking on Gable. Gunther's back and just nails Sami in the face, just kicks his head off his body, and I guess Sami got the win by DQ because of the interference here. Gunther continues to continues the onslaught. Huge clothesline, drops Sami on the ground. Gunther stands him up, hits a big chop, another huge chop. Gunther then mounts Sami and drops forearms and grabs Sami by the face and says the fun and games are over. Big boot to Sami, drops him. Gunther with a chop, another. He grabs his title and holds it up high. Sami kicks up after getting beat down and stomps his feet, trying to motivate himself to stand up. Gunther can't believe it. He watches as Sami struggles to his feet. He stands tall and proud. Gable stirs. Gunther runs and hits him with a title shot to the face. So, a decent little build up here. I'm assuming this means that Gunther's probably losing the Intercontinental title. They're making Sami the baby underdog. And it's about time. I mean, I don't think you can run this title run any longer. I mean, Sami, let's get it done. WrestleMania, this is the big moment. Sami needs the moment. This should be okay. Where Sami goes with Chad Gable, I don't know. We will have to wait and see.
Fair.
Backstage, Jey Uso finds Lil Wayne, and some of the 90s folks wake up and go, "Ooh, I know that guy." Yay. And that was about it.
Yeah, that's my response.
Damage Control shows up early. And then we get Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. This is another quick, solid match. So Candice shoves Ivy off the top rope. Indy is up. They chant. Maxine gets a tag drop kick to Indy. She drop kicks Indy into Candice LeRae. Candice hits the ground, and then Maxine gets to roll up for the 1, 2, 3. Maxine getting a pin here. So Maxine, Ivy Nile at 3 minutes, 35 seconds, wins the match. After the match, Candice LeRae yells at Indy to be ashamed of herself, calling this embarrassing. It was a match. They're continuing the storyline. I think the storyline is more deemed for after Mania to pick up momentum. I just think they're trying to start that tease. I don't think there's any reason to really get too invested in it yet. I think the big trigger will be after WrestleMania. This storyline will probably be picking up more. Your thoughts?
Basically, it is what it is, like what you just said. But you also noticed it wasn't Candice that got pinned; it was Indy.
No,
I think that was very intentional.
Oh yeah.
Just
well,
keep this story kind of going.
Them bumping and everything else. So, like I said, I don't want people to start thinking, "Oh, why didn't they do anything with this at WrestleMania?" This isn't a WrestleMania crescendo yet. We're starting this. This is going to be more after WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Backstage, Seth Rollins is complicating his choices. Jey Uso runs up and calls him crazy. He tells Seth he's going to be there and has his back like he did last week. We get a video package that was probably the best thing of the whole night. We get Drew McIntyre gets a sick-ass video package that starts with him at a funeral home looking at a casket. He turns to give a bit of a eulogy, apparently, to CM Punk. He says Punk's brittle and fragile body failed him like it did in the UFC. We are left with a thin, skinny guy who saw Jared Leto as Joker and got excited. Drew says Seth deserves all the pain and suffering and misery. He begged Drew for it. He deserved to have the casket close on his championship reign. He will take the broken down old workhorse out and put him down. And so, yeah, we got a great segment with Drew McIntyre here. If anybody's looked like the devil this year, Drew McIntyre could have pulled off the devil this year. And just that moment, just the look. Drew McIntyre looking badass here. And with the announcement that Clash of the Castles coming back, and it looks like it may be in Scotland, wonder if Drew's going to win this title after all.
You know, the funny thing though is that the eulogy to someone's career is just so overdone, and yet Drew McIntyre with the WWE team had made it look great.
Yes.
Maybe because it wasn't done in the middle of the ring and done so hokey, like you said, his facial expressions, spot on, very good. Put the emotion and put the point behind everything, and just made the segment.
Yes. Yes, I know, Kat. You want to be the center of attention. Sadly, you're not high enough to be on screen, so sorry about your luck. Anyways, we got Ricochet and Ivar in a good match. This was a good, solid match, back and forth. At one point, Ricochet does a fallaway slam to Ivar, and that's impressive because, I mean, that's a big old boy to do a fallaway slam to. And Ricochet got up in the air on that fallaway slam. Ivar to the top rope. Doomsday miss. Big splash in the corner. But Ricochet catches Ivar. Fallaway slam to Ivar. Ricochet up to the top rope. 630 for the cover. This match went 10 minutes, 3 seconds. This was a solid, good match. Ricochet, I don't know what they're doing with Ricochet. Something's going to come with him, hopefully, after WrestleMania. Because he's looking red hot. He's gotten 4 great victories in the last 4 weeks. And some big victories. And now he's beating up on Ivar. Good, solid match. Mr. Clarke.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was wondering the whole time. I'm like, it's great that Ricochet is getting these wins that he deserves, but where are we going with this? You know, are we going to feud with someone specific? Are we going after a title? Or, you know, like you said, it's probably going to be at post WrestleMania that we begin to start finding this answer out.
No, it should be exciting to see what happens after WrestleMania with a lot of storylines here. Anyways, from there, we are backstage where Priest and Dom are watching Ricochet, and Damien's upset that Ricochet hasn't been handled. JD says he will take care of him at the Andre the Memorial Giant Battle Royal on Friday. And then in walks Andrade and asks Priest how he's doing. Dom introduces Andrade to Santos. He remembers them. Dom tells Andrade if he can help, if he can do him a favor, or do him a solid, or whatnot. He asks if Andrade can take care of Ricochet so he can become a full member of Judgment Day. Andrade asks if they need help. Dom says he wants him to. Rhea steps up and says she's got to go talk to Becky. Really weird here because it's like there's almost too much going on here. You have Andrade, Dom trying to be buddies with Dom, or Dom trying to be buddies with Andrade, and then introducing them to Legado del Fantasma. Andrade, recognizes Escobar and Angel. He acknowledges them. Like, I know you. I don't know. This is a weird segment. I don't know where they're going with it. Judgment Day seems to be falling apart. Where's Dom going to fall in all of this? It even seems like him and Mommy are falling apart at this point. So I don't know. This is really a hard one to read into.
Yeah,
your thoughts, sir?
Directions they can go with it, and it just depends on how do they want to tell whatever story that they're going to tell. And unfortunately, we're not at a point yet where we can foreshadow and see into where they might be going because there's too many options.
And it's going to be interesting after WrestleMania if they lose these tag team titles, as it seems it's going to happen. How that plays into all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch is here. Anyways, Becky is here. Somebody was writing about her book. I'm like, I don't really care. Not that anything against Becky in her book. I just don't care that you read her book in your notes here. Anyways, Becky is here, and she's looking for a fight. She calls out Rhea. This brings out Adam Pearce, who's like, no. We get booze. Then Rhea comes out to her music. Rhea beats up some security. And they lock horns briefly, but they're separated pretty quickly. Nothing big here, but it should be a great match. They've really built this feud in this heated. I think this will be a damn good match. And this match is also happening on Saturday night. I've been in and out of naps all day. I'm watching Raw as we speak. Okay, good for you. Your thought? Any thoughts on Rhea and Becky?
Their last bit of saying, hey, remember, we're trying to butt heads so we can get to that WrestleMania. That's all that this segment told me.
Anyways, Damage Control's backstage, and Dakota Kai wants to remind us that they are champions, and they're going to be facing Naomi, Jade, and Bianca at WrestleMania, and Io will be facing Bayley. And then we come back to Rhea and Becky continuing their tussle backstage. The security separation. Pierce tries to stop it all. Dom comes by, and Pierce yells, "Control your mummy." And then we got a weird match here as Damage Control got to take on Shayna Baszler, Zoe Starks, and Tegan Knox.
Like the inclusion of Tegan just made no sense to me.
It was a decent match.
She was tagging with Natalia.
Yeah. Knox takes a loss here as she gets tagged to Sane. Sane with the Sane elbow. Cover 1, 2, 3 on Tegan. Match went 8 minutes, 35 seconds. I guess you're getting a Damage Control match to show that they are of value here, threat to what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Shayna Baszler, Zoe Starks, and Tegan Knox are all kind of afterthoughts right now. So hopefully after WrestleMania there's more. Rumors that Shayna Baszler wants to finish her story with Ronda Rousey, but Ronda Rousey says she ain't never coming back to WWE, so I don't know how that's going to happen. I guess Tony Khan's going to have to throw out more money for these two to wind up on AEW to finish the story.
Oh, jeez.
If he's around to make it, I don't know. Backstage, Seth Rollins goes all West Wing with Kathy Kelly. He does a walk. He runs into Drew McIntyre. They have brief words before Seth Rollins walks out to the ring, where he takes on Solo Sikoa in what was a great Bloodline Rules. This was Bloodline Rules match, so everything went. There was one point where Solo was coming after Seth, and Seth was just beating with chairs, throwing chairs literally at him. Then there was one point where we got a Samoan drop through a table. Seth got put through that table. This was great going back and forth. He tosses Solo to the table, but here comes Jimmy Uso. He super kicks Seth. Jay is here. They meet at the bottom of the ramp. They fight back up the ramp, giving right hands and yeets galore. They head backstage, and Jay comes flying out by himself. The Rock is the culprit. He tosses Jay into the stage a few times, then heads down the ramp, cussing. The Rock enters the ring. Seth is on the mat, staring up at The Rock. The Rock slowly walks towards Seth. Seth smiles. Cody is here. His forehead is bandaged, but he's here. He comes running down. Cody leaves the ring, clears the announce table. He puts The Rock on it. He's about to rock bottom The Rock. Cody's about to rock bottom The Rock to the table, but here is Roman Reigns to stop that. The Rock hits Cody with a few rights. Reigns turns, grabs Cody, and sends him into the post. We get CM Punk chance, but he never shows up. The Rock sends Seth into the ring. Reigns with a Superman punch. The Rock has Rhodes. He sends him into the ring. Next, spear to Cody. Rock and Roman stand over the fallen opponents and talk smack. Reigns says this is it. This is everything. Reigns and Rock clap hands and hug under the WrestleMania sign. Reigns looks at his watch, and Rock reveals that he has a weightlifting belt on. He turns to Cody and whoops that boy something fierce. He starts beating with the belt. Anyways, we eventually get Solo Sikoa getting the win. This match went 19 minutes, 7 seconds with Rock smacks Cody one more time as we go off the air. A decent match, same ending. Continue the story. It was what it was.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, the story really is post-match, if you will.
Mm.
And it's basically The Rock beat him again like Cody owed him reparations or something. Again, like you said, it was basically rinse and repeat, and not as good as last week because, well, we saw it last week. So the shock value's gone now.
Yes. No, we're in a new era. WrestleMania, we're going back to the Attitude Era. Maybe we're starting to make moves in a direction where we're starting a new era that can be starting to have remnants of an Attitude Era. I don't think we'll ever be able to really recapture an Attitude Era. So saying the Attitude Era back, I don't think you're going to get that. But I think we're getting flavors. We're getting samples of what made the Attitude Era great in a new era. And I think you can have that. I think you can say, we can get on the level of an Attitude Era if we want to, but it's never going to be the Attitude Era. These things are great. This was a good, solid show. When I said earlier, April Fools. No, I liked the show. It was a decent show overall. Everything was good and on point. It really got you excited for WrestleMania. It was in right tones. It wasn't perfect, but I mean, damn, you got to give credit to Ricochet. Ricochet is coming out looking like $1 million in this thing. I mean, that man picked up Ivar and his fall away slam and got air. Like, woo! Ricochet getting the showcase recently to really show what he can do. So the Rock opening the show was good. The Rock ending the show, all this stuff. We're going into WrestleMania. And it's going to be a busy, busy week right here on the Value of Wrestling. I promise you, we're getting stuff together. Tonight was Monday Night Raw. Your good, solid show. It's hard to cover last week. There was so much that went down last week. I'm still waiting for a Punk Rock face-off here. We need it. We want it. It should happen. Anywho, but a good, solid Raw. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have your New Japan Pro Wrestling Rebound podcast with Miguel Z. He will be delivering that, be posting that tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll be here for Dynamite, where we have the Battle of the Wills going down. You have the tag team tournament where you have Best Friends taking on the Tampon Bucks, and a few other matches on there. The contract signing between Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland, and you have Miguel Z's favorite match of the night. This will be his favorite thing to watch. Daddy Ass versus Safety Scissors Jay White. I know Mr. Z is totally excited for that one. Can't wait to see that match happen. You can't wait for that match to go down. You know it. And then, of course, Thursdays this week in preview. Mr. Clarke will be bringing that, getting you ready for the next week of professional wrestling. And then Friday, we'll be here with your SmackDown review. And then both Saturday and Sunday, night 1, night 2, we'll be here with your fallouts from WrestleMania night 1, night 2. That'll be me, Mr. Clarke, and Mr. Z, all live here in a rundown. We're going to do it both nights after both shows. There'll be no weekly roundup this week, as we have WrestleMania to cover. I'm sure there's going to be a couple more big-time rants. I will be doing a review on the Bray Wyatt Becoming Immortal program. It'd probably be spoilers in some sense, but not in-depth spoilers. Like, I'm going to talk about things that were talked about in it, but it's not necessarily like I'm really going to spoil anything. I would say if you're going to watch it, make sure you have a thing of tissues next to you. 'Cause I don't care who you are. If you love this man or had a passion for wrestling, the history of wrestling, the story of this man's history, you're going to get into your feelings. This is one of the best documentaries WWE's done in a long time. You're going to get in your feelings for sure.
I'm still pissy about that not lasting 10 minutes before I got emotional.
I tried to tell you, you guys don't listen. Mr. Z, I'm like, I know Mr. Z's waiting till this weekend to watch it with his daughter, but I'm telling you, boy, you better have a couple boxes of tissue, one for you, one for her, and I mean a box, because it's some good stuff. It is really, really good stuff, and I'm going to review that here. Hopefully, maybe I'll get this up tonight, or that'll come up tomorrow. I got to go watch the CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. This was an hour and 50 minutes program with CM Punk, who talked about a lot, and we need to break that into detail, so I'll probably be covering that in a big time rant. We know the Roman Reigns thing, the Roman Reigns documentary came out last night. That was another good one. If you want to get emotional, there's some emotional moments in there, especially since they put Matt Anoa'i, or who we know as Rosie. They had some clips and videos from Rosie that were into this video, talking about what Roman could be in the Roman future. And Roman does it in character in most of his stuff. It's a very interesting documentary coming from the angle of who he is right now, where most of these documentaries tell the story from a past perspective, where they're talking about who these wrestlers were, telling their whole history, and when we get to talk to the wrestler, they are, more out of character and more themselves. This is one where Roman's live and still in this character, and it's a very interesting perspective in it. Very good one. So, a lot of stuff coming out. It's going to be a busy week. Tomorrow, of course, the next episode of Dark Side of the Ring's coming out with the Harley Race story. So that's another interesting thing. We're going to be doing I'll be doing a review on that. So, man, busy week. I'm telling you, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It is absolutely inherently important because we're going to give you some great content. You're going to want to know what's going on and want to hear about all of this. We're on that march to 1,000. 1,000 brings you the Mr. Clarke dance. You get a shoey with Mr. Z, and we're going to give away one of these either a WWE or AEW figure. I got some extras that we can give away, so be ready for that. So let's get to 1,000, and then we'll start breaking down real big walls. But join us. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications. Let us, so when all this new stuff comes out, all these videos come out, you'll be the first one notified. Make sure you share this video out with Finn's friends, family, and everybody you know that loves professional wrestling. Ring that bell for notification and subscribe. Yes, I will sell it out like that. Mr. Clarke, are there any final thoughts, comments that you want to say before we shut the door on this program? I know this is barely a 40-minute program, but hey, there wasn't a whole lot to get into, but it was a good show.
Nice, solid show. There's other programs just like you that I gotta kind of get caught up on.
Yeah.
So this is a busy week, not just for the actual wrestling companies, but even for us just talking about it.
Yes, and there's news breaking. During Raw, AEW, for the first time in the company history, made a public announcement of releases. So that's another thing we're going to have to cover. Probably get in more detail with that tomorrow on a Big Time Rants. When we break some other news, we'll talk about the releases and follow through with that. But this has been your Monday Night Post Show review for April 1st. We thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We're going to get out of here. La-di-da-di. Have a good time. Say goodnight. Say farewell. Let me make sure we're on the right one. There we go.
This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.